Hello again. I literally look the same that I did yesterday, but this is actually the next day. I know I'm wearing this sweatshirt. I'll probably be wearing it for a couple of days. Um, it's 11 a.m. and I just had some brunch. I cooked it all by myself today. I didn't take any shortcuts, and I'm not a big brunch person, so this is like really different for me. And this is good. I'm still digesting, so I'm a little bit like sluggish, but before that, I did go out and work out a little bit. Right now, I'm not in a meeting, so I just wanted to check in. I've been looking forward to, I don't know, talking out loud today because I feel a little bit different as a person. Like, I feel, coincidentally, it's the new year, probably not just coincidentally, but don't, I'm just ready to try some new routines today. And it doesn't sound like a big deal, like making a different brunch for yourself, eating brunch in general versus like just waiting till later. For me, like just little things, trying a new route, of walking, trying a new class that I'm going to this evening, just trying a new attitude as well. I think there's a lot of things I have the appetite to try right now, and I think that's really good. Wouldn't want to like let that pass by because I don't get in this mood very often. So yeah, I'm feeling kind of contemplative and like I would have some deep content to want to talk about today. And like it's really cool to talk in this artificial way where like I have total control and I do have a little bit of like filter. Like I do worry about like how it appears to other people, but there's no worry about like being interrupted or being challenged or like even just like worrying about someone else's feelings and how that comes across. So I'm trying. Yeah, I think this is really interesting to talk for someone like me. And my friend who, one of my many friends who got COVID recently, had to quarantine by themselves and was like, texted me. It was like, I don't know how you did it during the pandemic. I'm going stir crazy this week. And um, part of, I was like, no, it's like the holidays are so hard. Like, it would be horrible to do that on your own. And I also went out a lot during the pandemic. Like, I almost never stopped fully, like, going on my runs, seeing my family on the weekends. Um, and going on walks with my friends. So I think it's a little bit different when you actually have the COVID and you're in lockdown. I might not be a great citizen, but I never like locked down fully for any reason, and I never got COVID or anything. But I think I was like inside, I was a little bit like smug that I was like, yeah, I'm great at being alone. I'm way better at it than being with people sometimes. Like, there's no risk of being alone. There's a risk of burning out or like flying, kind of, kind of like erupting if something upsetting happens. If I'm with people, if I get just really tired um, or anxious, but I mean, I don't really get social anxiety, but it's easy to get burnt out versus for her, she's extroverted, so I can see why this is a lot harder. But another part of me was like a little bit like, duh, this is like what a lot of people who are introverted do all the time. And even not in COVID times, like there's a lot of times I feel really lonely and I don't like my state and my situation. I don't want to be single, and like most of my friends aren't. So like I think there's that also that single person reaction that's like, yeah, yeah, I haven't ever spent a Valentine's Day with someone. I've never like um, brought someone to introduce my parents or like thought of the holidays as some like romantic time or like kissing under the mistletoe or like New Year's Eve or something. But it's interesting. It's just interesting. So Yeah, that was like a while ago. I just thought that came to mind, and I thought like I think YouTubers a lot of times are people who love to talk, are great at it, much better than me, but also don't necessarily. They're a little bit like socially anxious sometimes, or like they don't really want to be actually with people all the time physically. So I find it helpful for me. I definitely find it to be like an activity I look forward um, to break up the day and do something I feel like is really creative and really selfish and just like, oh, this is kind of me just like therapy, but I don't have to pay for it, which is great. Um, but I wanted to read a really like rough and like not well written um, and like journal thoughts that I had this morning. Again, like I'm feeling like introspective and trying like a lot of this is born out of like me trying to cope with like my anxiety about going back to work, and I know like I work from home so there really shouldn't be that much anxiety, but it got really bad because of like the interactions I had with people and like the way I feel like I wasn't being in like understood. Like people were seeing me as like in my head they were seeing me as this like really difficult bitchy like kind of annoying ungrateful kind of person. And I don't know if that's true, but it was bringing out kind of like a little bit of like apathy in me. And I wasn't acting the way I want to be. I wasn't getting treated the way I want to be. So it was easy to spiral, and especially when you're at home and you don't get any way to redeem yourself in the form of like water cooler chat or like smiling, just like, hey, like let's chat about this thing. And like you can, there's so many ways, especially for me, that I like to smooth over things or just like build relationships that are super subtle. And I'm probably also like really sensitive about it, and other people might not even notice, but there's like definitely like way more opportunities to like make a good impression and be like, be the person you want people to see you as. So I think that's really hard right now for being inside, and I don't see them the way they probably want me to see them, and I know I don't care about them the way I would like if they were life, real life, breathing people in front of me. So it goes over like every direction. I have a lot of meetings tomorrow, and to. I'm really anxious about some of them because they're in like one-on-ones with certain people, and I've just constantly felt misunderstood by. So we will see. That's tomorrow. But until then, today is not very meeting heavy, and I'm trying to not get back in the way I was last month and just change myself, because that's the only thing I can change. And like I know there's no need to react so intensely to my situation. So I'm just gonna read a little bit of my journal, which I don't recommend and I don't think is necessary for catharsis or anything, but I I kind of like want to remind myself or just think about it a little bit more. So I'm just gonna read it here. I got a great night's sleep. Finally. I can feel my low grade anxiety, but it's better since I slept. It's hard to stop it, but I am starting to work again today. Oh, sorry. It's hard to stop it because I'm starting work again today. Like, I know nothing bad will happen. I'm just anxious because I don't want to feel as bad as I did in November, December. But that is in the past. I'm not even that person anymore. I even listened to Dido waking up this morning. Amazing change from podcasts. I am in a feminine phase. I read a Jungian book called Knowing Woman before bed last night. It is amazing. I feel like a witch. Like my witch part needs some love and attention. I need to make a playlist with my witchy songs, which I have been doing since I wrote this. I I want more feminine energy right now. It's sort of what I want to be washed with. I want to let that side of me free so I can see what I've been missing. So I don't feel so ugly and ashamed, because that will help. or maybe that will help. I need more time with my female friends. I need to delve into this more. I want to find a group like this. No doubt it's because I feel like work is filled with masculine energy, also known as the world is filled with masculine energy. So much we consume and do and measure ourselves by, and I need to find more sisterhood. Genuinely, right now, my usual hobbies, um, or the things that I've always valued, are so male dominated. I really need to bring this to life for me. It's a constant battle to remember the witch for me. I can see it like a political act, just like when I felt my cultural shame a few years ago. This is 100% an area I need to listen to this year. This will lead me to the changes in what I want to do and the people I want to be around. In some ways, I am an intuitive, so I have gifts in this area, but I'm also so good at hiding it and succeeding in the normal masculine defined world, aka like climbing the ladder, kind of like being really logical, like seeing results, goal oriented doing versus like seeing the connection and like, being more present and like observant and nurturing. Oh, it's rewarded me, yes, to think and act in the masculine. It has made me hate and ignore the witch. Now I will not. I have no idea how to end that. I was like, well, I don't want to ignore her anymore. And I've never figured out a good way to talk about masculine and feminine energy or whatever, or like doing versus being or whatever, because it's sounds so backwards and sexist, and most people who haven't gotten into that whole area, like I can see how it's like really triggering, but and I'm still looking for a good way to explain that and express it. Um, so I don't know. I don't know if anyone can kind of overlook the labels of like man, woman, gender in this way, and instead maybe for me it's maybe easier in the future to not talk about masculine, feminine, but more like action and doing and creating versus being and growing and like connecting. And I don't know if it's like that much of a binary, and I don't think it's, I think we are all becoming a little more integrated with both of those sides, like, and now we have the ability, like a little more like cultural license to do that now in society for sure. So it's definitely not really about gender. It's just like, okay, here's where I have been for most of my life and what I've pushed towards and valued. That's definitely masculine. And I think about like every, like I love art and I love literature and movies and music, and 90% of the books I loved were written by men when I was in like high school, high school, college area. And not really my fault. I obviously know the curriculum's bias, but like music also for a long time, and I still like kind of do. I just prefer that, and it's not wrong, but like I think it's there's a lot of like subtle influences. I'm sure that that's had on me, and um, that's changed a lot in the last few years because there's so many more books and content about by women and from the female perspective, and that's kind of why I'm so caught up and like spending my time in that, and it's so important. And like I think about some of my friends who have always been a little more connected with their feminine, or at least just like more aware of like female musicians, artists, and I really admire them and kind of want them just to give me a list of like recommendations. Um, Music especially. But yes, I made a playlist and I haven't listened to music in a long time. As I mentioned before, I've mostly been interested in podcasts, but right now I think music is the more creative, intangibly emotional stuff that I'm trying to like enjoy and I want to tap into more. So no more podcasts for the moment. Um, and I'm taking recommendations. But yes, I think that's it for today. Hope you have a great Monday. Hope you don't work too hard this week, and I'll see you probably tomorrow. Bye.